Vikita, absolutely, and I mean, you know, it's got a lot more murky because the sands have been shifting so much over the last little while, and I think that's what makes it so interesting. Well, it's interesting to also get a view from some of the members of the alliance who are watching this. One of the most important members of the Tripartite Alliance is the Congress of South African Trade Unions. Their General Secretary joins me now, Solly Phetoe. Mr. Phetoe, good evening. I really do appreciate the time, and thank you for joining us. You'll have been watching everything playing out, the nominations last night, what really does look like horse trading between different provinces now. What's your sense of things? Are you feeling optimistic or are you feeling disappointed?
Well, we may say we not feel disappointed because it's a process of contestation. Contesting each other is not a crime, but the fact that there is a lot of factional battle that is taking place, you need to ask yourself a question. We're asking ourselves a question as Cosatu: is this a contestation based on the unity of the alliance, unity of the ANC, the renewal of the ANC, or unity of the people of South Africa? As you have listened to the report, organizational report presented by the Deputy President, is sending a message that as the African National Congress we are losing, or they are losing a support on the ground, in particular the supporters also. So, like I said, contestation is not a crime, but you ask yourself a question whether is it for real renewal, or is it for individual who says it was your time to eat, now it's about my time.
It's interesting to see provincial leaders saying we've now changed from, it seems from, you know, people in Limpopo, people in Gauteng, we were supporting Ramaphosa, and now we're supporting Mkhize. And then at least in Gauteng's case, we've seen one regional leader saying, Jose Ramakopa, saying, look, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay where we are. We've seen some Limpopo delegates saying, no, we're going to stay with Ramaphosa. I mean, does that tell us there's a distance between the leaders and the delegates?
Yeah, it tells you there's a distance between the leaders and the delegates, because we thought that the leaders or branches must be led, but also the conference of the ANC is a conference of the branch delegate. They come to the conference with mandate from their branches.
What for you would mark a successful conference? I mean, and I know you've been very clear, you're not going to say you want this leader or that leader. What for you would mark a successful conference?
For us as Cosatu, a successful conference of the ANC, as we said, is that this conference must elect people who've got credibility, people who will be able to advance the policies that will advance the agenda of the working class, people who will be able to rebuild or build the renewal of the ANC, people who will be able to implement the reconfigured alliance and listen to what workers are saying. And as I said sometimes, that we're in the alliance with the African National Congress to influence policies that are pro the working class and the workers in South Africa.
Is Dr. William Mkhize that person?
Well, we don't know. That will be determined by his attitude when he's elected. If he becomes the president of the ANC, we have no choice as Cosatu or as an alliance to work with whoever who's going to be elected.
There was a lot of talk in the president's speech about reconfiguring the alliance. I've got to say I've heard it all before. I know you've heard it all before many times.
Yeah.
That this time is going to be different. This time we're going to give Cosatu and the SACP more power. Frankly, having heard it so many times as a journalist, I don't know if I buy it this time. I don't know if I believe it.
Well, this time it is for the first time we're hearing the president speaking decisively on the reconfigured alliance in his political report. It is for the first time we're hearing, under the organizational report, we're hearing this confirmation of the reconfigured alliance, and that the first NEC or the elected NEC, part of its responsibility is to make sure that this conference policies is implemented, and one of it is the reconfigured alliance. From where we stand as Cosatu, as I said even yesterday, is that from where we stand, the reconfigured alliance document has been finalized. We have made our input, party has made their input. What we're told in the political council was that this matter has been finalized. It's with the NEC, and the NEC has to bring it to. They were supposed to take it to the National General Council. Unfortunately, there was no General Council. Now, the supreme body of the ANC is the National Conference, which must adopt that document or that policy. Once it's adopted, it must be implemented.
There's several things to all of this, because I mean the argument about what is a reconfigured alliance and how do you define that, I mean could be quite a complex thing. But it seems to me, if I understand the philosophical underpinnings of trade unions and Communist Party correctly, that normally the political party of a trade union is actually the Communist Party. That the SACP is your trade union in a way. That's why you let them live rent-free with you for so many years. And at the same time, there's structural changes in our politics. So if the ANC falls below, say 50%, suddenly it makes a lot more sense for the SACP to maybe be a party that receives 10 to 15%. You could put a lot of pressure on a government that way. And what happens to the SACP would also affect you. And what affects you, I think, maybe affects the SACP.
Yeah, it will. As you know, as you have indicated, the party is a vanguard of the workers and the vanguard of the working class. But as we know that in the Congress of Cosatu, we could not conclude that discussion of the party to contest the election in 2024. The matter was referred to the Central Executive Committee. The Central Committee has not concluded that matter, but that process is in the discussion, in consultation with our members in totality. In also coming back to your issue that what does that mean, the Reconfigured Alliance? From where we stand is that the Reconfigured Alliance, or from the papers that we submitted, is that stage of being consulted or consultation comes to an end is an issue of engagement and agree on the approach to be implemented through the political party that is leading in government.
There's a lot of concern, I suppose, around the fragility of the ANC. And I mean, the ANC itself talks about, in its organizational report, talks about the problems of branches, talks about losing members, talks about losing electoral support. And you get a sense overall of the ANC sort of losing the power to influence society. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the ANC is weak. It is still the biggest force in our society politically, with help from you and the SACP. But the whole idea of the ANC just losing the power it used to have, does that worry you? I mean, do you think that in a way maybe the ANC deserves it? Do you think that maybe part of that is the way that it's treated workers, and that's one of the reasons it's maybe losing a bit of power?
No, it definitely is worrying us. It's worrying us as Cosatu. That's why if you listen to our message of support presented by our president today, there's a section where we talk about the concern that workers have registered in relation to the ANC, the disunity of the ANC losing power, both from the ordinary people, the supporters, and the workers. So that matter is worrying us. That's why we're saying we hope the outcome of this conference will be able to lead a renewal, a program where we'll be able to regain the support of the people of the country or the people on the ground.
Solly Phetoe, a lot more to ask you. Thank you very much indeed for your time, sir. The General Secretary of the Congress, I nearly said the SACP, of the Congress of South African Trade Unions. We would have been in trouble there. All right, a lot more to come, a lot more coverage from Nasrec to come as the voting continues. And of course, there is, of course, another live event which Valen Kirkley and the sports team will bring you in just a moment.